Hello and welcome to today's episode of Dr. Simone's Mindspace, live from Stefeld Zurich at Monaco. Today I have two very interesting guests. It's Aggie and Vanessa, and the both of them are entrepreneurs, one in each different fields, I would say. Both are very sporty and both share a passion for collagen for different reasons. One of them, Aggie, who will tell us her story of recovery and her, I would say, lifelong use of collagen in one way or the other without even knowing from the very beginning, as I just heard over matcha latte before we started this conversation. And Vanessa, Dr. Vanessa, you have started your own collagen product. And it's a scientifically based product because you are actually a researcher and you've been doing a lot of research at University of Zurich and also back in Australia. So we'll hear from you. You will chip in when Aggie is sharing her story. So without more introduction from my end, because I don't have so much to say here except for taking Farmeta collagen while I was pregnant and running to my C-section and running a marathon for 4 months after. So I guess the science for collagen actually does show its effect also from my end. But now it's Aggie's time. We both wear light blue, so we're getting super collagen buddies. Okay, and black. Yeah. So yes. Let me transfer the mic over to you, Aggie, and I'll give the word to you.
Okay, so my name is Aggie, as Simone already said or introduced myself, and so I basically grew up in a small village in Bavaria, and my grandma had a farm, and we basically grew up drinking bone broth. Like, we always had soup before lunch, or just sometimes soup or soup for dinner. Like chicken soup or bone soup / bone broth was part of my childhood or growing up. Back then it wasn't called bone broth because it's like a new fancy word that got...
it's like the Birchermüsli turned overnight.
It was basically Hühnersuppe or whatever you want to call it.
Hühnerbrühe, right?
Hühnerbrühe, ja genau. Yeah, Knochenbrühe, Hühnerbrühe, yeah. And I also, I know that maybe sounds disgusting, but like Knochenmark, I always used to eat
bone
that from
marrow,
bone marrow. We grew up eating bone marrow. Like, as a child, I would suck on like the chicken bones. Yeah, I mean, now it's a delicatessen. Back in 10 years ago, no one would eat bone marrow. Now you see it in all the fine dining restaurants. It's quite funny, actually. Anyhow, long story short, I think we had that in a different podcast before. In 2018, I had an accident whilst I was bouldering, and I fell and I tore my ACL, PCL, MCL, and I had a patellar luxation, and my whole knee was basically dislocated. And what was interesting, even though I had so much damage, and if you injure your ACL and PCL at the same time, there's quite a big movement that has to happen in the knee for that even to occur. And the interesting thing was that my cartilage didn't even have a single scratch. Like, it looked like it was new. And even the doctor said, like, it's impressive that my cartilage was fine, because if you get a tear or a scratch, it's a lot more complicated. So the good thing was it was just my ligaments and no cartilage damage. And then I was thinking, okay, like, why is that? Like, I thought it has to do something with nutrition. So once I got released from hospital, I actually started making my own bone broth again. I would go to the butcher and buy like all these like bones and like with cartilage on, and it was super funny because like I'm this like petite girl and buying like bags of bones, and he was like, "What do you buy? Do you buy this for your dog?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I buy this for my dog."
Or your Asian husband.
and I would like go home on my crutches because I was living alone at that time, and like simmer my bone broth for hours every day. I mean, the kitchen smells, if you boil that for like 6, 7, 8 hours in low heat. And also put like carrots in and celery and like really made. And then you put it in jars, like in glass jars. If you put it in the fridge, then it becomes like this, like gelatin. Yeah. So it was like the proper, real good thing. And I had that.
If it doesn't gel, then there's not enough.
Yeah, exactly. No, it properly gelled, like like a vocal pudding. I don't know what's the English word for that. And I had that and I had that every day in the morning. Well, actually every second. So the one day I always had the bone broth, and the next day in the morning I made like an anti-inflammatory smoothie with curcuma, turmeric, ginger, lemon, and all that stuff. So I would like rotate between bone broth and that. And I mean, my rehab went amazing. I mean, the doctor said I would never run again, and I did a half marathon 1 year after operation. So hands down. So I think the whole thing of me exercising, taking the collagen, looking on what I eat, really focusing on my nutrition, but also having a good doctor that did the really good operation in the first place really helped. But then also afterwards to keep it up, because I feel a lot of people, when they have knee operations, complain when it's too cold, when it's hot, when they fly. They have and I have never ever pain in my knee. And obviously cooking bone broth or boiling bone broth becomes quite time consuming, and especially with traveling, it's not the easiest thing to just
does not feel weaker, your knee at all. Your knee feels just as strong as it did before.
Yeah, I feel like it's actually stronger than my other one now.
Which can happen, right?
Because you train it better.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger in terms of it's gotten even stronger.
Yeah, and then I started actually supplementing with collagen powder, and I've been basically supplementing with that since 2018. And then I was living first in South Africa, and then when I moved back to Switzerland, I started taking Formetto, also because of the training effect. Like, it doesn't only have the collagen, but also magnesium and a lot of other amazing co-ingredients. So with me, with exercise and having had the injury, it just works amazingly.
Yeah. And you mentioned the anti-inflammatory properties, how important they are.
Yeah.
And that's what we have in the collagen formula, is because
what anti-inflammatory are you putting in Formetto? If it's even allowed to be
collagen peptides, even themselves, are anti-inflammatory. Not the amino acids, but the peptides themselves have an even stronger anti-inflammatory effect. But we have a lot of antioxidants in there, such as astaxanthin, which is the most potent antioxidant known to man. MSM as well, this sulfur compound, extremely, in its own right, is a powerful supplement for joint health, skin health. But combined with the peptides, it's a synergistic effect. CoQ10, vitamin C, of course, everyone knows how important this is for not only collagen building, but protecting, because it is anti-inflammatory. So it's really that which is, this important combination of having not just the peptides, but the anti-inflammatory effects, because you want to protect the collagen. You want to prevent it from being broken down, which is happening constantly as we age. Yeah. So that's why, the peptides aren't really enough, depending on your diet. And it's actually been shown that the peptides are more effective than bone broth in stimulating the cells to produce collagen. So that's why you can rest assured, because it's huge labor, as you know, to make bone broth.
Yeah, and then the quantity you probably get in is not
very
as high.
variable.
Yeah.
And they're often not in the most easy to absorb form, which you have guaranteed in certain collagen.
And even the
supplements.
quality, when I went to the butcher, I just bought whatever he had. I didn't ask whether it was grass-fed or welfare.
Which is super important. Because,
exactly, For me, it was just, okay, I'm making my bone broth now, boom.
And then you don't want to be having extra heavy metals, which is just going to undo any effects, right? Because in the animals, the heavy metals and toxins concentrate in the fat and in the the collagen-rich parts of the animal. So it is super important to know about heavy metals. Make sure that the collagen peptides are tested for heavy metals and toxins. Because this is an anti-aging supplement, so you don't want anything that's going to be pro-aging like that in it.
Which we've had a very interesting podcast as well on nuclear radioactivity and aging rates. So, yeah.
Exactly. So being aware of all these environmental factors that you can minimize,
Right.
that you have under your control.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of it has to do with genetics, of course, even how
but
good your
the
collagen is.
genetic
But
percentage is quite low, actually. No?
around 20%. So you
So
have
that's
a lot
very
to
low.
control.
Yeah,
You have
exactly.
a lot in your hands, and that's
Because
why
I feel like a lot of people actually blame it on, it's my genetics, or
Yeah.
my parents had weak bones and I have weak bones. And I don't believe in that at all.
No.
I really think if what you put in, you get out. If you put bad, cheap fuel into your car is not going to function the same as if you put like good in it. And I think it's the same when it comes to the body.
And even if you do have a
Absolutely.
genetic predisposition to have, say, this weak bones or like a lower bone mineral density, there's a lot you can do to improve on that.
Yeah.
There really
Speaking
is.
of which, a lot of women suffer from osteoporosis. Is collagen your product going to be preventing?
Yeah, collagen is incredibly important for increasing bone mineral density. So this is another reason why especially women should be taking it. I mean, your bones are full of collagen and need to be supported. I mean, it's a 360 approach to protecting your
This
bones.
is such an important information for so many women out there suffering from osteoporosis.
Yeah.
Or even early onset.
Osteopenia. Yeah, I agree. People really, I mean, if you don't take care of your bones and your joints, you're not going to age well. It's just the fundamentals of aging well. Take care of your joints, take care of your bones. The glowing skin will follow because you're doing exactly what you need for nice skin and the beauty effects, which is what people are chasing. But it has to be done from the inside out.
Yeah.
You're not going to have, you don't have good gut health, if you've got a lot of inflammation, forget about it. It's not going to be reflected in your
But yeah,
outside
like
appearance.
especially with the joint, it's funny because yesterday actually someone messaged me, hey, have you ever tried like cycling? Wouldn't cycling be way better for you than running? And I'm
No.
like, why? Like my knees are fine. Why? It's like, because of your operation. And I'm like, well, my knee is 100% fine. I have
And actually, running is better for women than cycling
I
because
have no
of the
reason to like
the
switch.
amount each time you have a hit on the floor, it will actually help to increase bone density.
So I was like, people just automatically think because you had an operation or whatever, okay, now you can't do certain things, so it's not good for you.
Yeah.
Why do you still run with your knee? And I'm like, well, why should I not run?
Yeah, exactly. This is like
never,
the same thing
it never
with me
hurts.
and
Even,
pregnancy.
like I run down the mountain, I do trail running as well, and I run down the mountain. I don't have any knee pain, and I know so many people who run down the mountain and they have knee pain. So it's obviously one part is like how you run, your running technique, but I really do believe that the second part is also your nutrition and like taking collagen and all of that, because I run downhill and I don't feel anything. And if anyone should feel anything, it should be me, but I don't. It's like something is working.
Yeah, I think your story is incredible, and I think you can really help a lot of people. Healing is, I think people are very much confused about how to heal injuries and not to get lost. And
I feel a lot of people just give up or accept their diagnosis and then listen to the doctor and like, but the doctor said I shouldn't do this and that. I mean, same thing now. When I was in South Africa a couple of weeks ago, I tore two muscles that I attached to the hips, underneath the hip flexor, and I couldn't even lift my leg. So normally I've got like the full flexion, I could lift my leg like 10 centimeters off the floor. And the physio said like recovery time is like 4 to 6 weeks, then I can slowly start running again and going to yoga. And anyone who knows me is like,
no
for me
way.
not to exercise.
That's what people told. The same
It's like telling
story.
a fish not to swim. And I was like, after 2 weeks, I was up on the mountain, running up Table Mountain, running down Table Mountain, and I was fine. And I told my
I
physio,
can
and she's
just
like,
totally
because I saw her
empathize with you.
afterwards. She's like, "Oh, how are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I think I have to tell you something." He's like, "What now?" Because she also did my physio when I had my knee injury, so she knows me. And I told her, "Yeah, I just been up and down here, my mom." He's like, "Okay, well, good for you." And that was after 2 weeks.
Yeah, I ran 1 week after my C-section, and
Yeah.
people were telling me you had to like no exercise for like
People-
8
people
weeks
need
and
to know
all
these
of these
stories.
things. You
Yeah.
know, I ran to my C-section, and I ran 1 week after my C-section again. Of course, you have to, know your body and don't overdo it. I was worried I would overdo it rather than underdo it, right? But my doctor was, when I came in for the after C-section check-up, she couldn't believe. The pelvic floor was completely back to normal, and she was like, there is like nothing left from any sort of aftermath.
Wow.
It's only the scar you can,
That
and a
obviously
little
takes
bit
time,
of
yeah.
the scar tissue that is a bit wider still, but it's for me, but for other people it's probably not even visible. But she was really like, first day after the delivery, I was walking around in the room, and she came in, and she's very sporty. She comes in with her race bike shoes, right, for the visits in the hospital. But she said, yes, wow, okay. She's never seen anyone walking around the day after the C-section. I already went walking in the park, and I escaped to the city the 2 days after. So it's all about your own way. And I think, I'm not saying that everyone can do it, but it's also like the amount of people that tell you, as they told you, what you cannot do.
Yeah.
It's always what you cannot do. How about we start to rephrase and say what we actually can do, right?
Yeah.
Rather than cannot.
I mean, when I was in hospital, I brought those elastic rubber bands and I put them on the back of the hospital bed, and I did like sit-ups and upper body workout. Because, I mean, I wasn't able to
Helps
run
you
it
for the
at that
crunches
point,
too,
but
to walk around
I was
later.
able to do so many other sports. I mean, I got out of the hospital after a week, and I bought one of those yoga chairs. I don't know if you know them, but it's a very safe way to get into upside down postures, like headstand, all of that. And I was like headstanding a week after my operation. People were like, "Oh my God, what if you fall over?"
Yeah,
And
that's
I was
the
like,
same with
what
me
does
as
everyone
well.
tell you?
It's
You have
so
to put your leg up for
interesting.
like the water to drain. I'm like, what's better than going into a headstand for that?
Yeah.
I know I'm safe. I know I can do it. And I mean, my swelling went down fairly in a good time. And
Same
like
with
again,
me. The blue team, because I did the same. I did headstand until the day of delivery.
I know.
because
I mean,
it
you
was
were at my yoga
perfect.
class.
All right, yeah.
everybody
We have
around was
proof
like,
of
"Oh my
concept.
God."
And it was actually funny because somebody asked, who is the one that is pregnant, because you can't see the belly, right? So, especially in the headstand, it was always disappearing. Yeah.
But it's so important to stay active, right? Because
Yeah.
muscle, you lose it so quickly.
Yeah, and also
But it's
for
obvious,
the
if you've always
recovery.
been a sporty person. I mean, if you are pregnant and you've never done a headstand in your life,
No,
it's
of
probably
course
not
not
the
the
time to
best
start.
idea, but
Yeah.
I think it's not, wouldn't even be possible physically.
Yeah.
My son today found it very funny to see how I did yoga. He was very interesting. Yeah. So it's also a good role model for your children to see that you're active. Right?
Yeah.
And that you prioritize it, and
Yeah.
I think so too.
But not only, my parents are not sporty at all, and I'm the complete opposite. So I don't know where I got it from, not from them.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to hear people's stories, because you get inspired and you know what's possible, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've spoken to my students, my American exchange students. They found that also very inspiring. Especially for them, it's also good because some of them are really not very physically active, and then to hear somebody's recovery story is very valuable. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially that, just because you're injured, it doesn't hold you back.
No,
Like-
no.
And I meet a lot of people who are like, yeah, I don't ski anymore because I had an ACL injury. And I'm like,
Oh, you
really?
have
Like, I had a lot more and I do
Maybe
everything
it's a good
again.
excuse for someone being
Yeah.
scared to ski from the beginning.
Yeah,
I would
yeah. Then
never-
they kind of like have an excuse.
Have an excuse. I think it's so many times also an excuse not to move or an
Yeah,
excuse to
yeah.
whatever it may be.
Yeah, it's sad, but yeah. Good.
Yeah. Hey, thank you very much for your time,
Thank
ladies.
you. Thank
And to be continued, I'd say. And if people have questions and comments, do not hesitate to reach out. We will share your Instagram, social media links, and so people can reach out, hopefully, to
Thank
both
you.
of you, if that's fine with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah? Thank you, and have a great afternoon.